It's Christmas time here in Brisbane, the middle of summer. It's very hot and humid. I'm going to put a video together on my entire 2025 race season, start to finish. Pre-season, early races, middle distance races, all the way out to those last couple of long ones. It's going to be a long video. I will try and put some chapters in which might make it a bit easier to watch. I do hope you enjoy it. The 2025 season pretty much started the same way it always does for me. Back in August 2024, when I paired up my stock birds, I usually mate them around 55 days before the last race of the year. So the first round of youngsters is ready to move over into the race loft right around that final race. August is late winter here in Brisbane, and every year the plan's the same. Breed 2 round of youngsters, have them over in that race loft, settled and flying by the end of November. When the young birds come across, I split them into hens and cocks. For the first couple of weeks, they only go out in the afternoons, hens one day and cocks the next. Once they get used to things, I'll let one group out in the morning and the other in the afternoon, swapping them around each week. I keep them separate so that they learn to come into their own side of the loft, left or right. That's important to me because once they get used to breaking one way, I'll keep doing it later when I start letting them out all together before the season starts. I like to have them packed up and flying together well before Christmas. I reckon it's a big help having them flying as a team, getting up high and clearing the area before the big molt kicks in after the new year. They're usually locked out for a couple of hours at a time, one lot in the morning and the other in the afternoon. While they're out, they can pick around the yard and they get regular baths too. I also spend a fair bit of time teaching them to come straight into the loft when I call them. I also walk them in with my long squash racket. It can take a bit of patience, but it's time well spent because it gives me good control over them. At this time of the year, they're fed all they want with as many different mix of grains as I've got available. I try to give them as many different grains as I can get, as much variety as possible. I like the grain to dry in the sun. They're never really hungry this time of the year. There's always some food left over, morning and night. A couple of times a week I add vitamins, minerals and other supplements just to make sure they're getting everything they need while they're growing. All in all, I think it's a big advantage here in Brisbane to have the youngsters already in the race loft, flying and settled into their routine well before Christmas. These youngsters are in fact ready to take their first toss before Christmas if I wanted to. However, they're still young birds and there's no point in going down that avenue. Lights are used in the loft to increase the amount of daylight to help keep the pigeons moulting those all-important flight feathers. They get vaccinated for PMV around Christmas, New Year, and then again about 4 weeks later. By early January, it's usually hot and humid, and the birds don't really like flying much anyway. That's when I cut their flights and pull them 10 to 14 days later. By then they're about 2 to 4 months old, and being summer, they've already dropped a couple of inner flight, which is what I want. 10 here. She's still got 6 flights to go, so she's only molted 4. So she would have probably been out of the second round, I would say. I'll probably have to do 2 flights there, cut 2 flights and pull them in a couple of weeks' time. That way she'll have a full wing again by the end of March. There's another hen, dark checker pied. She's still got 5 to go, so she's molted 5. So that's the difference between breeding a bit early, starting in August. Trying to be finished, have the birds over in the race loft by the end of November. It's a big advantage in my opinion. And get those pigeons out working, get them through that flights early on before Christmas, and then after Christmas we can concentrate on getting those last 2 flights done, those last couple of flights done. Yeah, should be a nice hen. There's another hen. So this hen, she's got 3 to go. She's managed to get through 7 flights by the 5th of January. So that's the big advantage, get those pigeons Wet as early as you can. Get them out flying so that they develop their muscles and it'll strengthen their wings. Don't want them doing too much. You don't want them to strain any tendons or do any damage to anywhere, but just enough so they know where they are. Get a little bit of work into them and get into the loft routine. Then we can concentrate on getting through these flights. Got him there, like I said, 3 flights to go, 5th of January. And she's a yearling as well. There's that yellow ring, QPF 24. So it looks like all of the pigeons, first round and second round, are either got 5 to go, 5 or 6 to go, some have got 4. Pigeons, they've pretty much stopped flying now, which is not unusual for this time of the year. Also, the peregrine falcon has been giving them a lot more attacks, or there's been a lot more peregrine falcon attacks of late. That also is not unusual for this time of the year. Young hens, let's have a bit of a look at their wings. This hen's got 4 to go, so I'll just cut the 1 flight on that one. I like to cut them about 40 mil down. Obviously you've got to do both wings. That. This is a later bred hen. She's only done the 1 flight. She only dropped the 1 flight. That's the earliest that you could possibly cut them. They have to at least drop 1 of their primary flights before you can cut any of them. If you don't do that, or if you don't wait like that, the feathers could be blood feathers. They could have blood in them, and cutting them when they've got blood in them is obviously not good. I'll do 2 on her. She won't molt out in time. This is the problem with later bred pigeons. So I need to start making these pigeons work by the time we get to March. And she won't have molted all of her flights, but at least the last 2 will be up, and that will give her some protection. Will give the wings some protection while she's working or flying. There's no feed in the loft as yet. I'm going to see if I can get these pigeons to all go in using my long handled squash racket. This is good training, backing up what they had when they were youngsters. They're all out just picking around the ground now, not wanting to fly. That usually happens, as I said before, this time of the year. So we'll just hunt these blokes up. Come on. Come on then, let's go. Come on. Come on, in you go. In you go. Come on. Come on. In you go. In you go. Takes a bit of perseverance. Come on. Lucky last, Grizzle. Come on. At last. That's it. They're all in. Now I can feed them. Okay, it's time to pull some of the flights that I cut 10 days ago. So we'll do 2 in this bloke. Simple matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all out. Just got 1 flight to do on this pigeon. Thing is just to pull them straight out, no twisting. Just grab the flight, hold it back up here, quick tug and it's out. It's the same afternoon that I pulled the flights. Just goes to show you it doesn't do them any harm whatsoever. They wouldn't be out flapping their wings like that if their wings were sore. Okay, it's the middle of March. Sorry, it's the middle of February out here in Brisbane. It's very hot and humid. The days are slowly starting to shorten. It's taking a long time. Gonna have a look at the flights. It's been 24 days since I last checked the flights, or since I pulled those flights that I'd cut previously. So let's have a look at some of these youngsters. So this is a young cock. You can see here, only did the one flight on his. He's looking really good. So he's replaced, what's that, 3, 6, 7 flights have been replaced. He's grown his 8th, and his 10th, the last one that I pulled out, is coming through, and his 9th has dropped as well. So he's well on his way to growing his wing back in time for the season. Other wings exactly the same, feathers look in really good condition. Okay, here's another young cock. So he's regrowing 6 flights. He's got 1 flight left up there. That's probably the 9th flight. Looks like I pulled just the 1 flight on this bloke too. So they're well advanced, you can see that. The last flight, the 10th flight, the one I pulled's coming up. They've just got 1 to drop and the rest are growing. Obviously got them on a good protein diet at the moment, giving them all they can eat. Got to grow these flights back in good condition, which they currently look to be. The blue cock, same sort of thing. Yeah, just 1 flight left to drop. 2 I cut are coming through. Starting to see that little tick in the end of the feathers, which is an indication that it had been pulled. Same, pretty much the same with this one. He's got 2 left to drop. So they're either got 1 or 2 left to drop, and here it is the middle of February, so we don't need them to start working until sort of the end of March. So they got a month and a half left to grow those flights. Everything's coming along quite nicely this time of the year. Okay, it's been 4 weeks since I last checked these pigeons, so we'll have another check today, see how the flights are going. I'd emphasise that these pigeons have had no medication other than they were treated for worms and lice back before Christmas, but they've had no other medication. They're looking very good, very pleased with them. Flights are coming along nicely. I'd also particularly emphasise that they've never had any antibiotics. Their parents haven't had any, and they haven't had any. I'm trying to build natural immunity in these pigeons, and I think they're coming along quite nicely. Let's have a look at some of these. Okay, there's Blue Hen. Yeah, you can see there she's got 2 new flights that I pulled. They're about more than halfway up. Still got 2 to go, so she's one of the younger pigeons. Same on that wing. They haven't been flying much, which I don't want them to with short wings like that. However, that doesn't mean they can't fly. They had a goshawk attack them here the other day, and they all went up for a fly, went quite high, which I wasn't pleased with. I don't like them flying with little short wings like this. Might make them bleed, and I find if a feather bleeds, it's never much good. But no, they're coming along quite nicely. They didn't stay up long anyway. The goshawk didn't come back. I don't think he will be coming back actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. They're looking pretty good. So this is 4 weeks. At 4 weeks the flights are, you'd have to say, more than half growing. Another couple of weeks that pigeon will be able to fly quite well with a good stable wing. Very pleased with that. You can see there's 3, 6,
7, 8, 9. So there's still that 8th flight to come through there and one to drop. So still a couple more weeks away before they're going to be really good. But I'm very pleased with them. Those flights are coming along very nicely and they're looking really good. That's one of the pleasing things. There's no sickness in the loft. I've had no exposure to other pigeons, although having said that, I've got a fairly big team of feral pigeons around here, and every now and again a couple of them join in. I do my best to get rid of them as quick as I can, but you're always worried they're going to transfer something across to your pigeons. But touch wood, so far they've been okay. I do spray the loft out with an insecticide for pigeon flies. In the warmer weather here, or the warmer climate, pigeon flies are a problem. They suck the pigeon's blood. They live on the pigeon. We call them flat flies. They sit perfectly flat and can slip underneath the feathers. They can transmit a blood disease. So the last thing you want is pigeon flies. Pinholes in the flight feathers is another major problem they cause. But I don't think I've got any in here. I have seen the odd one or two, but I think they died pretty quick with the insecticide. Okay, it's the last day of February here in Brisbane. Officially the last day of summer. Still quite warm here at 30 degrees. But it is starting to cool down of a night time. It's been 5 weeks. In 5 weeks since I pulled those flights. So we'll have a look today and see what sort of progress they're making. Blue cock. See there, the 2 flights. I would have only done 1 on this cock. So what's he got there? 3, 6, 9, 10s. Yeah, so he's about 3/4 growing. The flight that I pulled, natural flights are coming up. So, you know, another week and he'll be pretty much there. Ready to start doing a bit of flying. Blue hen. Yeah, the flight I've done, see quite plainly there. But she's got 1 left to drop. The rest are coming through. What's she got? 3, 6, 6, 9. There's 1 missing there. It's obviously dropped. It's got to grow. But yeah, they're coming on quite nicely. Yeah, maybe an inch or so to go. They're all a little bit different, aren't they? Some are fully grown, some aren't. Tail's a little bit messy. It's been 7 weeks since I pulled those flights. So we'll have another look at them today. I was going to look at them a week ago at 6 weeks, but a cyclone hit Brisbane. It was only a category 1 by the time it crossed the coast, but it still caused a lot of trees to come down. Took out the power. Something like 300,000 or 400,000 people had no power, including us. And it dumped a lot of rain, nearly 400 millimetres of rain in about 3 days, which caused a lot of local flooding. Blue cock. You see the two flights I pulled are completely growing. Might still have a little bit of blood in them, have to dry out, so it's been 7 weeks. But you can see that pigeon's got a nice stable wing. I can start to get them to fly a bit now. I've got about 2 months till racing starts, so I've got 2 months to get these pigeons fit and ready to race. Pied cock, same thing, last 2 flights are fully growing. He's obviously missing the 8th, which is going to grow up, but he's got a nice stable wing. He'll be able to work quite nicely with a wing like that. That's perfect. And here it is, what, the middle of March, 15th of March at the moment, which is autumn here in Brisbane. Yeah, this bird I obviously did 1 here, so it's growing the 9th flight, and the 10th flight is fully growing. So it's absolutely perfect. They can start to fly now. Very nice stable wing. No trouble getting away from that peregrine falcon, which will be hitting them pretty soon. Have we got some champions among these? We'll find out in the next couple of months. It's early April and the pigeons are through the molt and looking good, particularly those early bred youngsters. I use the lights in the loft to help speed up the moulting of the flights. The lights are on until 8 p.m. during the summer months, but I cut the lights back slowly until 7 p.m. in March to finish off the body molt. Shortening the days increases the body molt. Now that the molt is finishing, I love to see the fall of the down feathers, telling me they're healthy, and those down feathers won't fall if they're not well. I only have 10 later bred youngsters in the loft, and even these were over in the loft before the end of December, but you can clearly see that they're behind the rest as far as the molt is concerned. Up until now, the pigeons have been out separate, cocks in the morning and hens in the evening, and swapped around each week. They were all let out together for the first time on the 1st of April 2025, 54 days before our first race. I did use the flag to get them all up the very first time I let them all out together. All out together for the very first time. It's been 30 minutes. I use the flag as a signal that they need to fly, and they need to come down once the flag is taken down. They didn't fly long that very first time, but at least they went up reasonably high and didn't just swing around the loft, and I got them all in as soon as they came down. No more picking around the yard, they're in race mode now. Okay, it's in the air or in the loft. This is where all the training I gave them earlier on as youngsters comes to play. They're easy to get in, being fed twice a day, so they're not really hungry. They know they've got to go back in that loft. All the work I put into them before Christmas ensured they had a really good start at flying once the molt was over. They flew separated from October through to early January, went up high and left the area on many occasions, so they know where the loft is, which gives them a great start to the race season. 4 days later and they went up really high. Again, not for very long, but I left the flag up for 15 minutes just to get them used to the flag. Up nice and high. The goshawk and the falcon have been around, but they're not causing as much problem as previous years, so far that is. The bob of the birds though, one passing, flying away. On the 5th day, they went up really high and they left the area. About half of them came back after 15 minutes, and the rest came shortly after. Very pleasing. They're straight back in the loft after each fly, and getting them in is really easy. Because of that training I gave them back when they were youngsters, they readily trap even though they're not really hungry. They're being fed all they want to eat, fairly light mixture. A couple of containers, that's the way I feed them. I make up my own race mixes using my own grain combinations that I keep on a spreadsheet. The mixes vary as the season progresses, and they're really just a guide because I will change the mixes during the season depending on the pigeons and the race route conditions. I try to give the pigeons as many different grains that I can get to try and meet all of their nutritional requirements. I mix the grains on the back of my ute and I dry the mix in the sun before storing it. The pigeons are now working well, going up high and leaving the area. It's now time to start the training tosses. These first training tosses are really just a basketing and release exercise. I just want to get them used to being in the training crate, coming out and flying home, but always on the line of flight. The 2 red lines are the straight flight path to my loft from the first 2 races. We are flying our west route this year, which is west-northwest to me. The first race is from 160 kilometres to me, and the problem is the pigeons have to cross 2 ranges to get to my loft if they fly in a straight line. Firstly, the Great Dividing Range that runs the length of Australia's east coast and is about 130 kilometres west of me. And finally the Diagla Range, which lies just to the west of Brisbane. Both ranges force the pigeons to deviate from the straight line home, depending on the prevailing winds, which are usually southerly headwind in the early part of the season. There's a gap in the range to the north and another gap to the south. The southern route is the better one for me, for the pigeons to come home to my loft. The Federation has a big front of 100 kilometres between the most northerly flyer and the most southerly counterpart. That's when we fly this west route. This means that pigeons flying the wrong line can be forced to fly many more kilometres than the actual race distance, and many will get lost or predated going through the mountains. My first few tosses will be within the 2 red lines, but after that I'll need to toss to the south of the true line of flight to avoid the ranges. First toss, just up the road, They arrived home the same time as me. All going in. Exactly what I want. Landed on the loft. And they're all going in of their own accord. Second toss. Going round and round. Up very high. Like they're leaving. Just got home from the second toss. No pigeons here, or rather the mob are not here. But there are 2 pigeons in the loft. 2-year-olds have busted away from the mob. And they've come home. There's all the yearlings. And some of the 2-year-olds, here they are. This is the 3rd time in the training crates. You can see now they've finally settled down. They're not fighting and arguing so much like they used to. I think that's very important. So I go a few short ones, not really tosses, they're only basket training. I like them to get settled like this. I think you can lose a lot of pigeons if they panic in the crates. And all it takes then is a falcon or something to get stuck into them at the release point and you're in big trouble. So these blokes are nice and settled now. So I'll tie them all up, off they go. 3rd toss. That's what you like to see. Get home from your toss. All your pigeons are in the loft. I left some feed there for them, not enough, they'll need more than that, but they've obviously been there a while, they've eaten it all up, and they're all in. No birds out. Exactly what I'm looking for. Their appetite has increased dramatically since they've started working and had a few tosses.
The pigeons are flying well around the loft. They're homing well from the early training tosses, and just as importantly, they're entering the loft immediately. Their appetite is good, the droppings are also good. It's all systems go now.
All going
Regular
in.
tosses, probably twice per week out to 100 kilometres before racing starts in 6 weeks' time. After completing the 3 initial tosses on the line of flight, I moved on to toss number 4 from 30 k's, over to the right of the line of flight to get away from those inner ranges. The birds came very broken up from this toss, something I was hoping to avoid until they'd gained more experience, but the returns were still good.
It's 10 o'clock, that's an hour since I let them go, so I don't like them coming home broken up like this. Want the big pack to come, and here they are.
Toss 5 was at 37 k's and they came very good from this toss. They went up at 9:10 and they're all home before me in 30 minutes at 12.29 metres a minute. Toss 6 was from 56 k's and was another good toss with the birds homing quickly. Released at 8:20 in fine weather. They were home before me in 44 minutes at 12.46 metres a minute. And they trapped well by the look of the loft camera. Toss 7 from 74 k's proved interesting, with a falcon hitting them shortly after release. But they regained height and came well, with one late bird, which was probably the one the falcon took after. They went up at 8:10 and they were home in 54 minutes, doing 13.50 metres a minute. After the 7th toss, it was noticeable that the pigeons are working much faster around the loft now. They're starting to get some race fitness. Toss 8 from 88 kilometres was again another good toss in cloudy but fine conditions. The pigeons were a bit slow leaving, but they were home before me, with most of the birds arriving together by the look of it after an hour and 13 minutes. Toss 9 was again from the 88k release point, but with another fancier's birds.
88 k's again. Anyway, looks like most of them are home. I think there'll be a few late ones, but they've got to go through that bust up now that they've got a bit of experience. So that's the 9th toss finished.
Toss 10 was also from the 88k toss point, but they were taken up by a friend for a joint release. The pigeons are working well around the loft right now and could easily go further, but I'm happy to toss just that once a week and get them into that race mode.
Toss. So they'll do it a little bit tougher today. Second last week, 2 weeks' time, they'll have their first race. Let's see how they go in this toss. So it looks like it's turned out a good toss. They've gone over to the north, these blokes. Gone over with my mate. Not good.
Toss 11, final toss from 105k.
Lovely fine day. 105 k's. Here with a group of fanciers. Maybe 1,000 pigeons going up. Okay, I'm back from the mass release with the other flyers. Finally gone up with a big pack of pigeons, so they've had to break or go into different lofts. But all in all, a very good toss for the last one for the first race. Last bath before race day next weekend. Well, that's it for all the preliminary tosses. All in all, they've come very well from these tosses. Very few losses, and they've learnt to break away from other groups. Now I'll just use this last week to tune their preparation. All my pre-season training and preparation for the start of the 2025 race season is now complete. So this is what I'll feed them. I'll give them all they can eat Sunday night. Had all they could eat today when they come home from the toss, but there were some late ones, so they probably didn't get all they want, but you can see they're not very hungry. So I'll feed them up tonight and we'll start their weekly preparation for next weekend's first race. We'll give the loft a bit of a clean out while they're out flying. In 35 minutes since I let them out, they're back around the loft, but they're still going for a bit of a fly. It's a bit of a cooler morning this morning. Anyway, I'll take that flag down and let them come down. We'll get to and feed these pigeons. I showed before, I feed them with these little containers. Work out how many containers they want. When they're really hungry, they're eating about 4 of those. So we'll see how we go today. It's Monday, like I said. Maintain their appetite during the week, but slowly build them up towards the weekend. Had a reasonably good appetite this morning, so that's Monday morning's feed finished. Pigeons have finished eating, so we'll separate them now, hens and cocks. The only other thing I do on Mondays and Tuesdays, I'll get them a small handful of grit. The pigeons are all in Monday afternoon. I won't feed them now, I will separate them, and then I'll come back out and feed them at 6 p.m. Okay, Monday night, after these pigeons fed. Come on girls. The boys are definitely hungrier than the girls. That's it for Monday night. Pigeons did their 45-50 minutes this morning. That'll be it for Tuesday. Let's see how we go this afternoon, or when I say Tuesday morning. The pigeons did 55 minutes this afternoon. Mainly panic flying because the goshawk hit the loft, but I managed to get them in, so I'm pretty happy that that's enough for Tuesday night. I might add, this is a new mix that I'm trying. Wednesday morning, I've already given them their first 2 tinfuls, but yeah, I gave them just a little bit too much on Tuesday night. It's Wednesday evening. The pigeons did their 30 minutes this afternoon. I'm still having trouble getting them to come down, land on the loft. They're still worried about that goshawk. Some minerals and vitamin powder on their first tinful, so this will be the 3rd tinful. Their appetite's quite good for this time of the week. I can start to build them up a bit more from now on. Thursday tomorrow, so that'll be it for Wednesday evening. The loft lights, they stay on till 7:30. They go off at 7:30. The hallway lights, they stay on till 7:40, give the pigeons a chance to find their perches, and the blinds are down during winter time. Right, it's Thursday morning. They've had their first 2 tins again. That's the hens. This is the 3rd tin. So that's the 3rd tin. They've still got an appetite. Pretty much where I want them to be. I want them to be full up by tomorrow. Basketing day tomorrow night. Pigeons giving it away everywhere. So that'll be enough for the cocks. It's Thursday morning feeding finished. So that's the 3rd tin on Thursday evening. You can see there's quite a few pigeons giving away eating, which is about what I want. I wanted to satisfy their appetite by Thursday evening. I will feed them again tomorrow, Friday. I would point out that I'm not a sprint flyer. I like the day races, particularly the all day on the day races. And all my feeding and preparation is aimed towards those races. Although, now that I'm getting near the end of my racing career, I am looking at the 2nd day races. But that's another story. They've been satisfied, their bodies are full of energy, they don't need to eat anymore. The problem you always have with pigeons is that they've got a crop, and the crop doesn't tell them when they've had enough to eat. I'll just keep filling that crop up even if they don't need the food. So these lot here have been satisfied. It's Friday morning, basketing day. I let these pigeons out this morning. I always let them out on basketing morning, but I don't put the flag up. They left the area for about 15 minutes. When they come back and notice the flag wasn't up, they all came down. I think we would have had enough by now, but they're extra hungry. It is an extra cool, well, it was an extra cold night last night, for Brisbane that is. Being just a 160 kilometre race tomorrow, I'll probably leave it at that, but I will feed them again this afternoon. Saturday morning, first race. I've got 30 birds away at the race point, and all the rest have gone on a 105k toss, so there's no race birds left in the loft. It's overcast this morning, there were some showers in the area, but it's expected to clear to a fine day. So all we got to do now is wait. Here's the first lot of pigeons from the training toss. Definitely scaredy cats. As forecast, the weather's cleared up quite nicely. Beautiful. Here's a pigeon. Come back out of the south. There it is. Come on then. Come on then. Come on. Come on then. Come on then. That first pigeon came down reasonably well, but not great. It timed in okay after 2 hours and 3 minutes on the wing at a velocity of 1277. Well, that's my first race flown. I didn't do so good with that first bird. It was about 6 or 7 minutes off the pace, but on a positive note, the returns were good. This west route we're flying, it's been notorious the last 10 or 12 years for bad returns, particularly in these early couple of races. But I was lucky enough to get 24 out of 30 on the day. Federation, the Queensland Racing Pigeon Federation, they're flying the west route this year out to Windora, about 1100 kilometres. We're trying something different this year. We're trying separate releases, north side and south side, half an hour apart. The idea is that those first 6 races, which are club races, the birds can learn to track their right direction. That seems to be working. The first race, I had 29 out of 30 birds home, which was very pleasing. Second race, John Darien again. Got a gusty southeasterly, east-southeasterly wind. A few showers about. It's going to be a tough one today. The birds were released from John Darien at 10:30 a.m. Fairly fine conditions up there. That southeasterly wind kept blowing most of the day. I was hopeful might get one somewhere around the 1100, but it turned out to be a pretty long wait. It wasn't until just after 1 o'clock my first bird turned up. I was doing 1,005 metres a minute, which ended up being well off the pace. The good thing was that they kept coming all afternoon. I was pretty pleased with that. I sent 30 birds to the race and I ended up getting 28 out of the 30 home, which was a pleasing result. Saturday, 7th of June, the third John Darien race, 158 k's to me. A little bit of high cloud around today, very light winds at the moment, forecast for a little bit of westerly. The weather vane there is pointing west, so it'll give them a little bit of assistance. The first bird came in high out of the south. Before I could get the camera ready, it was already coming down, but it wasn't a race bird, it was a trainer. First bird home was a trainer. They're like bloody dots. Let's hope this is a race bird. That second bird was a race bird, not that much mattered. The first bird or the second bird, both of them were well off the pace.
as far as the velocity was concerned. I was doing about 1570 something, I think it was. And the pigeons, or the winning pigeons, were doing around 1700, so quite a way off the pace. Or when you look at it in minutes, probably about 7 or 8 minutes that I need to be there, but still well off the pace. But once again, the birds kept coming all afternoon. I ended up with 29 out of my 30 birds, and I sent 40 trainers as well, and I ended up losing just one of those as well. So 39 out of 40 trainers, so I was very pleased with the weekend, even though once again the result didn't go my way. Saturday the 14th of June 25, beautiful morning, light winds, blue skies. The way at Dalby this week, 190 k's for me. Winds up there mainly southerly, light winds. I've got 70 birds away, 40 trainers, 30 race birds. So we'll see how we go today. Unfortunately, my camera failed, or actually I probably pressed the wrong button and didn't record what I wanted to record. So I only had this one camera over to the side, taking some shots. This first pigeon here, unfortunately, was another trainer. It was a good trainer though. It was doing 13.25, which would have placed it up in the top 5 in the release. But like I said, it was a trainer. Luckily, I only had to wait another about 40 seconds for 2 birds to turn up, and they were both race birds. They were doing 13.19, and that was good enough for 10th from the release. I think there's about 1200 pigeons in the release, so they're coming a little bit better. I might add that these are all young birds, or yearlings. They're about 7 or 9 months old, born last spring, and it's now the middle of winter. The reason I'm sending so many, 40 trainers and 30 race birds, trying to get as much experience into them while we're having these separate releases, trying to get them to come online. Of course, it's a bit of a risk sending that many pigeons, but once again, I was very pleased with the returns. I ended up getting 29 out of my 30 race birds, and I also got 39 out of 40 of the trainers. So all up, I ended up getting 68 out of 70 home once again. So all in all, a good weekend. Never seen so many trying to get in the bath at one time. I'm really keen. It's Monday evening after the 4th race of the year, and the birds have got a much improved appetite, really improved over the last week. They were well off the pace in the first 3 races, but a big improvement last Saturday, and I think that follows on from this big improvement in their appetite. This is Dalby again, 190 k's to my place, so this is the second Dalby. It's an overcast day, mainly cloudy, some drizzle around, occasional bit of blue sky will appear. There's also southeasterly headwinds. The winds are coming off the ocean. They're usually strong. We're talking about 15 to 25 k's, so it's going to be a bit tough on the pigeons. I've sent everything in the loft to this race. It's raining right now, actually. Actually, not quite everything. I've kept half a dozen birds back. They're either injured or flown out, that type of thing. So I've got 80 trainers away and 30 race birds. The birds are gone up at 9:30. So it's a little bit hard to predict how long they're going to take today on this west route. They're either earlier than what you think or later than what you think. So I think about 3 hours. If I can get one doing around 1100, I think I'll be doing all right. Just got to hope I get a race bird first, because the trainers and race birds all go up together, because we got these separate releases. The reason I sent everything in the loft was because I've got to travel for a wedding in a couple of weeks. I'll be away for a week. The birds are going to be locked down. I'll miss 2 races. And also I want to try and get as many birds as possible, getting used to this route coming home while we got these separate releases for the south. Hopefully they can track online and learn something. Well, it's really raining now, pouring down. The forecast for today was partly cloudy, 25% chance of a light shower, maybe 1 millimetre. Well, we're getting a hell of a lot more than that. So what's the time now? It's 12:10. So it's not looking too good. Can't go out in the rain to see if I can film anything coming in the air.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens. The wind is really blowing too now. Here come some pigeons, 5 of them, going straight over. One of them pulled out, now he's decided to come back. Come on then, come on. Come on. Not trying, not thinking. And over with those 5, and now he's decided to come back. Come on then, come on. Come on then. Come on. Come on then. Come on, stupid. Quick. Doing 1084.
I was reasonably happy with that velocity. It was pretty good for my area, back a little bit overall, but once again the returns were great. I got 30 out of 30 race birds and 109 out of the 110 that were sent, so overall very good.
It's Saturday the 28th of June 25. Just after 10 o'clock, the pigeons went up at 10. The forecast down here is for partly cloudy skies with cloud and showers increasing this afternoon. There's light winds here. Up at the release report they said it was overcast with patchy clouded areas. I've no idea what that means. The winds over the range are southeasterly headwinds and much stronger than down here. So we'll come back a bit later and see if we can work out what time these pigeons might get home. And velocity now is what, 1150? 56 if you want to be accurate. It's nearly getting on for 5 to 1. Coming up for 3 hours. There's a pigeon. Just gotta hope it's a race pigeon. Yes, 1093 actually the velocity is. Again, the returns have been unbelievable. It's only been an hour since that first bird arrived here and there's already 75 out of 86 trainers home and 24 out of 28 race birds. I sent them all in the loft once again. I think there's 4 inside that loft that I didn't send. I weren't quite up to it. The returns with these separate releases have been outstanding. I've been sending practically everything in the loft the last couple of weeks. Hopefully now, the way they're coming home, they're on the line of flight, and when we all go together next week, north and south up together, then these birds may track the right way. We're going to get out of the road, another pigeon wants to.
Well, that's it for the club races. They're all finished. From now on, it's all federation races.
It's Saturday, the 5th of July 2025. Today's race is Chinchilla, 264 k's to me. This is the start of our fed races, so we're all up together now.
First 2 pigeons appeared to come in from the right direction, but the velocity was only 1069, which was very slow. It should have been a bit faster than that. I can't complain about the returns. They seem to be coming through very well, but they're very slow. They just won't race. They just won't get out there in that first pack. The velocities are down, but the returns are good, which tells me there's nothing really wrong with them. Just going to have to be one of those years, I think. They come along every now and again. I think the last one was 2019. I won the averages in 2018, and I was expecting to do well in 2019, but it was a very poor year. This year looks like being very similar. I won the averages last year, 2024, but this year I just can't get them going again. But it's early days, like I said, there's plenty of time left. They are coming home, so there can't be too much wrong with them, so we'll soldier on and see how we go.
That's the first two trainers home. They're doing 10:58, so a little bit slower. I think the whole lot of them are pretty slow really, but they're coming home. We'll wait and see how many we get.
Well, the birds are going to be locked down now for a week when I travel for this wedding, so they won't be racing for the next two races.
It's Monday night. I've fed the pigeons. Their appetite's not what it was. These pigeons were locked down for a week last week while I travelled for that wedding. Only got back early hours of Friday morning. I let them out Friday morning and Friday afternoon, forced them to fly for half an hour. They didn't like it much. They obviously lost some condition while I was away. And worse still, their appetite's gone off. They're eating like 3 tins a side, morning and night, before I left, and now they're happy with they were happy with just 1 tin. So I tossed them on Saturday, the usual 105 kilometre toss. Unfortunately, they got badly smacked up by the falcons. A friend of mine took them up there and he reported the falcons busted the packs everywhere. And they came home like that, came home like brown cows. There was like 15 birds out in the afternoon, got some more late, end up dropping 5 pigeons. So the quandary is, what do I do from here? Next week, the Federation is flying the 366 kilometres. These pigeons have only done that 268 race from Chinchilla. So it's a 100k jump. Do I send a whole lot of them there? If I don't, the Federation's moving on to 420k's the following week, which means I'll have to send some of them to there, and that'll be coming off 3 or 4 weeks and jumping 200 kilometres. So I have to make a decision. Do I send them all this weekend or only half of them? I'm going to have to wait towards the end of the week and make a decision. Saturday morning, 26th of July. We're not racing today. It's a big, there's a lot of predicted rain coming across from this big weather front that's moving across from the west, which is where we're racing from. So basketing's been delayed till tonight and racing tomorrow. I think I've made the decision. Well, I have made the decision actually. I'm going to send everything to this Jackson race. The pigeons are looking quite good now. I've had a week of training, exercise round the loft after I got back from that overseas trip, and they had that bad toss last weekend. But there's still plenty of pigeons left here. Like I've been saying, the returns have been really, really good. They just haven't been racing all that well. Maybe they'll turn it around. I'm trying a few different things. See if I can turn their fortunes around. I'm looking at every possibility now. I'm cooking the feed. I've got this heater here. I put the grain in like that. Keep it in there for about 10 minutes. I've got it set on, I think, about 150 degrees. A bit less than that, probably about 120. And I stir it a couple of times for about 15 minutes. Well, it's Sunday morning now. We've had to delay the race by 1 day because of that big weather front. So it'll be a fast race today, vastly different from what we've had. Probably going to be doing 100 kilometres an hour today. We'll set everything up and we'll wait and see what time they get here. I've sent everything in the loft as usual. The birds went up at 8:30. The race birds went up at 8:30. The trainers have gone up at 9 o'clock. It's 10:30. The wind is really blowing now. And westerly, west-southwest. I'll be doing, I reckon, over 100 kilometres an hour today. The Federation flew this race point last weekend, and I didn't fly, obviously, but the flyers in my area were doing 1300, and they clocked in about 1:15. But I'm thinking today is going to be a lot faster than that. Probably need them around 12 o'clock. That wind comes in gusts, dies off for a bit, and then starts blowing again.
The first bird come in from the east, total opposite direction to where we're flying. With those gusty westerly winds behind us, she obviously went over, turned around and came back into the wind to the loft, which of course didn't help the velocity at all. This hen, a 2-year-old hen, she always lands on the doorway, which is why I had to go running down there as quick as I could and hunt her in. Obviously every second counts in racing, and when they're flying this sort of velocity, every second is absolutely vital. But no problem, we got her in and she timed herself in. That hen timed herself in at 11:47, doing 18:57 metres a minute. I thought that would be fairly competitive based on the winds and when I estimated, or when I thought they might get in. So I was reasonably happy with that velocity. The only thing that I was a bit concerned about was that I waited quite a long time for the next lot of birds to appear. It doesn't show up on the video because I cut all that out. The first trainer arrived at 12:19, so around about 30 minutes after the race birds. She was doing 18:36 metres a minute, so I thought that was quite comparable. But once again, the trainers were very spread out. I was a bit worried again, like I said, that we weren't going to get, I wasn't going to get the returns that I needed. But then at 12:48, I got 10 birds together. First pack come in at 12:48, so an hour after I got the race birds. Well, they were mainly trainers, there was a race bird or two amongst them, but mainly trainers. And after that they started coming in little groups, 5s and 6s and so forth. So I really had nothing to worry about. By the end of the day, the returns were pretty good.
Bit worried there to start with, but once they started coming, they're still coming. What's the time now? It's 20:02. Still getting packs coming home. Okay, it's Monday morning. They've had their bath now. They're all back in the loft and fed. The birds that didn't go, they've all walked over the timer now as well. So we can see that there's 70 out of 73 home in the trainers and 26 out of 29 race birds. So 6 birds have been lost over the weekend. The trainers in particular have come well. Up separate, of course, so that probably helps them a bit more. They're not as busted up as the race birds. All in all, not a bad weekend. Ended up 6th in the fed out of, 85 flyers or something. So it's a step in the right direction. Saturday the 2nd of August, racing Roma today. 445 k's to me. We've dodged a bit of a rain bullet this weekend. The forecast was for a deep low pressure system to develop off the Queensland coast and bring unsettled weather. But it's missed us and ended up going down New South Wales, and behind it we've now got a big high coming in and we've got these westerly winds again. So it looks like it might be very similar to last weekend. High velocities, fast velocities. Can't say they're my favourite. I prefer it around about the 1100, but you've got to take whatever the weather dishes up. Also started mating the birds up. We're moving on already. The season never really ends. Well, we've almost gone full circle. It's the 1st of August, so spring is a month away. I've started mating the pigeons up. Been planning it on paper for a while. I wormed them all out last week. Surprisingly, I got quite a few worms too, using Equest Plus, a horse wormer paste. Just put in their water, very simple, very safe. So I've got them mated up now, paired up. Well, when I say paired up, they're in the nest boxes together. Now, this is the part of breeding I hate the most, trying to get them to settle and let a pair or two out every now and again to try and get them to settle to their box. The moment you take all the fronts off, they start going haywire. So it starts again. Breeding next year's race team. Scored to 12. Winds comes in gusts like it did last week. I don't think it's as strong down here as what it was last week, but I think over the other side of the range, it probably is. I've got 30 race birds away in this race, plus 11 trainers. Trainers, as usual, have gone up half an hour after the race birds. So they were home this time last week, but we're 100 k's further on at 445 kilometres, but they went up half an hour earlier, so it makes it a little bit hard to figure out what velocity they're going to do.
These first two pigeons seem to come in from the southeast, but with that strong tailwind they probably went over and just curved back to the loft. There was a 3-year-old hen and a yearling cock. The yearling cock actually went right in the landing and landed on the pad, but on the board right on the edge, and didn't time itself in. The 3-year-old hen landed on the landing and then flew in, and they both timed in at the same time. There was only 0.2 of a second between them. So when they were put through the race calculation program, they both had exactly the same velocity. I'd sent 11 trainers to this race, and the first one turned up just there at 12:53 at 1690 metres a minute. So a little bit slower than the race birds, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, by that I mean I'd pick 30 birds out to race, so hopefully I'd pick the 30 best ones, and the 11 trainers were just going along for the training flight. Six birds arrived together here. 5 of them were my trainers that had stayed together for that whole flight, and one of them was a stray that went over there and landed in the yard. That stray was particularly tired. It just sat on the ground there and couldn't even bend its head back to scratch itself. So obviously flying in tailwinds is not as easy as a lot of people will tell you. I think that buffeting from the wind, getting pushed from side to side, it makes flying a bit difficult, a bit more difficult than we think. I was quite pleased with that result. I ended up winning the club and running 14th in the federation. The velocity was quite solid for my area. Nobody else had a better velocity in that area, so I was quite pleased with that result. This is the top 10 place getters in this race. In the federation, you can clearly see the birds track either to the north or track to the south of Brisbane City when we fly this particular route. Well, the sun's gone down on another race. I ended up with 29 out of my 30 race birds home on the day, and 10 out of the 11 trainers.
It's Saturday, the 9th of August. We're supposed to be flying Roma again this weekend, 445 k's. The Federation's made a late decision to postpone the race till Sunday due to a forecast of rain and strong winds over the whole journey home. So that's a good decision. Tomorrow the rain is supposed to clear out west, but there's still supposed to be coastal showers and still fairly strong headwinds. So until tomorrow, let's see what happens. It's Sunday morning, the 10th of August. That rain from yesterday has moved off the coast. The winds have died right down at the moment. The forecast is for 15 to 20 k of southeasterly winds, which is going to be right on their nose. So it's going to be a difficult race from Roma, 444 k's. The wind is really gusty here at times. Really blows. And it backs off a bit. Poor little bubbers are doing it tough. It's 11 o'clock. A fair bit of clouds moved in now. That's not unexpected with a southeasterly breeze, or it's more of a wind now. There's a fair bit of wind blowing on the radar, or rather on the windy app. You can see quite strong southeasterlies. Yeah, they're going to be down around 1100, probably below 1100, so something like 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's 2 p.m. now. Velocity's down to 1200. We're still getting these gusty southeasterlies. Comes and goes, really blows sometimes, then eases off a bit. Still a few showers around. I still think if I can get one doing 1100, I'll be doing all right. So maybe another hour. It's 2:30. The velocity's dropped down below 1150 now. There's a big passing shower coming over there. That wind really blows at times, so the little buggers are doing it tough. Doing it tough today. And these are all our young birds, yearlings, birds that were bred last spring and racing this winter. That's the way we do it here in Australia. So I think I need to get one within the next half hour. It's 2:45 now, 2:45. 6 3/4 hours since release. It's getting close to that 7 hours now. The velocity's dropped below 1100. So they're doing it tough now.
The first pigeon come in from the north. Came in quite well, come over the top, circled around. I've slowed it down a bit here so you can see it coming in. Unfortunately, it landed outside on the landing, which necessitated me running down there and ushering the bird into the benzing antenna, which wasn't a real problem, timed itself in quite nicely. Skylar gets quite excited if she sees me running though and gets underneath your feet. I'm going to have to pull her in line a little bit.
Well, that was the first bird in, a minute before, or half a minute before, 7 hours on the wing. Velocity of 1061. We'd be okay, hard to judge. That's the pencil-pied hen that was first bird home. You might remember I showed her a couple of weeks back. She'd been hawked in the neck. Just goes to show you, they get over it. She hasn't raced for a couple of weeks, but she's first bird today.
The first 4 pigeons were home in 4 minutes, which was very surprising and pleasing. Then there was a 9-minute gap until the next one, and then after that they were very well spread out.
I've turned the outdoor cameras off, so it's 3:35. 5 pigeons home, first 4 came very quickly. One after that, and then they seem to have stopped. So I think there'll be a few empty perches tonight, but we've still got some hours of daylight left and tomorrow.
Probably finished a few minutes off the pace for my area, but ended up 17th in the Fed out of 74 flyers. So I was quite happy with that result. There were 13 birds home on the day, and there were 21 home by 9 o'clock the next morning. Well, that's it for another week's racing's finished. Once again, you can clearly see how those pigeons track either to the north or south of Brisbane.
Saturday, 16th of August. Flying Mitchell today, 530 Ks. To me that is, well, 500 Ks. We're halfway to Windora, 1,000 kilometres at the end of September. That'll be the last race of the year. It's 8 o'clock, so I've got 30 birds away at the main race. There's also a 5 bird special on, and as the name suggests, I've got 5 birds away at that race as well. They went up at 7 o'clock for the main pack and 7:30 for the 5 birder. Definitely going to be a westerly race, so it'll be a tailwind race. I don't think it's going to be as quick as the other couple of weeks, probably maybe 1600. We'll wait and see what the wind does a little bit later. I've also got 12 trainers away. They would have went up at 8 o'clock. It's just after 11 o'clock now. We're getting some quite strong gusty westerly winds that every now and again, a bit of a strong gust. Velocity's still over 2,000 metres a minute. I don't think I'm going to capture much footage on those cameras. They've been running for a long time now. 3 birds came together. They appeared to come out of the northwest. The first bird came down really well, trapped very quickly, landed right on the antenna, which is something you'd like to see them do every week. The second bird stayed up there, didn't want to come down because that third bird turned out to be a stray, kept it up there for a bit longer than what it should have. That first bird was doing 1486. Seemed a bit slow to me based on what the winds were doing. I thought they would be a lot quicker than that. Not that I wanted them to be, but that wind was quite strong. I waited another 5 minutes for the next bird to turn up, after which the cameras were completely exhausted because I'd started them way too early. The birds kept coming after that in a steady stream up until 2:30, 2:28 actually. That's when the 19th bird come in. After that, they stopped completely. The 5-birder came in just after 1:30. It's a little bit slower than the race birds. It's doing 14:60. So I don't know whether the first race birds are any good or the 5-birders any good. But well, that was the most disappointing and frustrating race I've had so far. Yeah, not so much the result. I was behind again. Ended up about 25th out of 70 lofts in the main race and 13th in the 5-birder. So it wasn't so much the result. Yeah, they were back again, like I said, but it was the way they come. First of all, I got fooled by the velocity. To start the day, I was thinking 5.5, 6 hours, which is what it turned out to be. But that wind on the ranges blowing 20 with gusts to 30 behind them, I thought, yeah, they're going to be a bit quicker this week. So I started those cameras way, way too early. Ended up only catching about 10, 15 minutes of footage of the birds coming home. But it ended up being the returns that were the most frustrating. I got 19 of those race birds in the first hour and a half, but after 2:30 I never got another pigeon for 3.5 hours. So I sat there looking for race birds for 3.5 hours and nothing come. But the trainers, which went up half an hour after them, they just kept coming. End up with 10 out of 12 trainers on the day, 4 out of 5 the 5-birders on the day. Admittedly, I got another 5 race birds the next morning, so I ended up with 25 out of 30. But here's the kicker. I mean, I lost 7 pigeons all told. One of those was a cock. The other 6 were hens. I couldn't figure out why I lost that many hens. Cocks kept coming, the hens didn't. Just didn't make any sense. Especially when you consider I clocked hens in both races. And yet I lost 6 hens and only 1 cock. 2 bloody peregrines into them. Hair of the bloody things. She comes back. There's the 2 of them. It's Saturday, the 23rd of August. We're flying Mitchell again this week. I've got 30 away in the main race and there's another 5-bird special on, so I've got another 5 away with that. The winds here are definitely southwesterly, definitely favouring the pigeons. The trainers, toss birds were home doing 1680, so it's quite quick. But the winds are quite variable. We'll wait and see. 10 AM and we've got some very interesting winds here. Winds coming up from the south. And it's busting here in the middle, just about in the middle of the race courses there. It's turning to a headwind at Mitchell where we're racing today. Down here it's turning and heading straight west, or straight east, but coming from the west to Brisbane. So they're going to do it a little bit slower all the way to about here. Going to get pushed a little bit this way. Then they're going to pick up a bit of tailwind to come back home. So I'd be interested to see what velocity they do today. Maybe 7 hours. Let's wait and see. Those winds get a bit gusty every now and again. It's mainly southwesterly this week. More southwesterly this week. It's just about 1 o'clock. I'm clocking in from this race point this time last week. 530 k's. A bit more wind last week though. I'm still thinking maybe 7 hours. It's probably closer to 2 o'clock. Something like that. It's an absolutely glorious day. Not a cloud in the sky. Mind you, I don't think that's the ideal pigeon weather. I'd rather there were a few clouds, but just for a beautiful day, you can't beat it. It's warm in the sun, but it's a nice cool 23 degrees in the breeze. It's 1:30 now. Velocity's down to 1360. I just checked the wind up on the ranges at Toowoomba, blowing 28 kilometres an hour from the west with gusts to 33. So that's a straight tailwind. So surely we'll get one by 2 o'clock. The first bird came straight out of the north. I guess that wasn't unexpected given the southwesterly winds that were blowing, particularly over towards the ranges. The good thing was she came straight down and straight in and timed herself in. Well, that's the first pigeon in, doing 1307. I don't know whether that's a good velocity or not, but at least I've got one, and before 2 o'clock. So it can't be all bad. So now I've just got to get a 5-birder within the next half hour. That second bird came in 4 minutes after the first. Not a bad backup pigeon to have. That was the 5-birder landing with those 2 pigeons there. Landed at 2:05 at 1335 metres a minute. So a bit quicker than the mass release. So I'll have to wait and see how we go. It's 2:30 or just after 2:30. Turning the cameras off. It's 13 birds home from the first release. Just the 1 pigeon home from the 5-birder. But hopefully some more will come before dark, but they've flowed right down now. So here's another one as I speak. Wait till this one last pigeon comes in, then I'll turn those cameras off. Come on then, come on. Alright, that's it for this Saturday as far as the cameras are concerned. I ended up winning both the club races, that 5-birder and the main release. Sort of well back in the fed in the main release. I think I was 26th out of 70 odd flyers. Ended up 6th in the 5-bird race. Most of the best velocities were up north of us, which wasn't unexpected given the winds the way they were. But overall, I wasn't too disappointed with that weekend's racing. Sunday morning, bath and relaxation. Another beautiful day. Ended up with 24 home yesterday afternoon. Only another 1's come home this morning so far. So I'm hoping for a few more than that. It's Sunday afternoon. I'm going to worm the pigeons this afternoon. I don't know if you can see the loft from over there, but I've emptied the drinkers out so they don't have any water at the moment. I fed them this morning and they had about 3 hours of water, which was more than enough. Then I've taken the water away just to create a little bit of thirst. So I use 2 products to worm my pigeons. Adjust that down so you can see it. So the first product I use is this Epronex. Epronex is a cattle pour-on. There may be some people who will tell you that a pour-on is not suitable for adding to the drinking water. I can only tell you what I do from a practical point of view, and I've never had any adverse effects, and I've been using it for many, many years. I'm not going to use that one today. It's a very good product for all your common worms, your hairworms, roundworms. Also very good for insects damage, you know, like your mites and your lice and stuff. The one I'm using today is Equest Plus. This is a horse wormer, but it's uses the common ingredients that other wormers do for our pigeons, so it's moxidectin and praziquantel. The good thing about this wormer is that it does your hairworms and your roundworms and also tapeworms. That's why it's called Equest Plus tape, so it takes care of those. This comes in a syringe like this, a plastic syringe. You just have to remove the top. It's a little bit hard to get off at times. So just take the end off it like that. I just dial out, I hope you're seeing this, dial out 3 notches between the little controller there and there. I've got 3 notches. Now I've got a glass of lukewarm water. I just squirt it into that, just like that. Then I shake it very vigorously. You can see it lying in there like a bit of toothpaste. It's supposed to be shot into the mouth of a horse where it dissolves instantly. That's why I use a little bit of warm water. Make sure that it's dissolving. So I shake that very vigorously. I'll probably do that a little bit more off camera. And then I add that to about 7 litres of water, because that's how much water I need to fill my 2 containers. Moxidectin and praziquantel have both got a fairly good safety margin, so you can overdose them a little bit and it won't hurt them, but I don't do that, and I'll try not to do that. So 3 notches into that jar of warm water. I'll add that into the bucket of water. Then I agitate that. I've got a pump on here. Give it a good agitation. So this is an 8 litre bucket, so I'm only going to do about 6 to 7 litres. That's enough. Doesn't have a bad taste, so the pigeons do drink it quite readily, I find anyway. I'll just add that to their drinkers, stainless steel drinkers. You see it's got a milky look about it. So I'm going to leave that on them for the rest of the afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Leave it on overnight, and I'll leave it on till probably 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Make sure they've had a very good dose of it. And we'll have a look tomorrow morning and see if we've got any worms. Won't see any hair worms, of course, they're too small to see. But if there's roundworms there, you will see them, and if there's tapeworms there, you will see them. So that drinker is pretty well full. Okay, let's see what happens tomorrow morning. So the returns ended up being pretty good. I ended up with 28 out of 30 and 4 out of 5 in the 5-birder. I've had a good look around this morning after worming them yesterday afternoon. Found one roundworm just there. That's a mature roundworm and it's a fresh one, so it's only been passed this morning. Got all these droppings down here. Didn't find any in those. None up along that tray. In here. Couldn't find any amongst any of these droppings. Couldn't find any worms amongst any of those. I did find one over here. There's one there. That's a more dried up worm, so that was passed last night. So that on the hen side was none. I couldn't find any over in the hen side. So they didn't have many worms, but there was a couple. There's also some that probably fell down through the wires that I wouldn't be able to see. So anyway, they've been wormed out. I'll leave that worming solution in their water until mid-morning, about 10 o'clock, and I'll change back over. You can see the wet heads they get when they're drinking that worming solution. You see that bloke up there. He's definitely had a drink of it this morning. So like I said, we'll wait till 10 o'clock, change the water over, have one last check for worms. It's Monday morning. I've finished the worming treatment. I've changed over, I was going to say fresh water, but actually got some Origo stim in there. Had another good look around. I found this dropping down here on there with 2 worms in it. 2 roundworms. It's over the cock side again. Didn't find any over the hen side, but like I said, there could be a few down there where the wire collects the droppings. But anyway, they've been wormed out. That should last them for the rest of the race season. All looking pretty good. It's Saturday, the 30th of August. We're flying Morven today, 613 kilometres to me. We've got a forecast of very strong winds, 30 to 40 kilometres an hour, west-southwesterlies. So they are a side tailwind, so they will pick up some speed, but with that wind.
Okay, so today, the 30th, 10 a.m, these are the winds we're dealing with. We're flying from Morven out here, 613 k's to Brisbane, or to me over here in Brisbane. See these winds, more southwesterly there, so if they get pushed north, which they will, they're going to have to turn back at some stage and start coming into those winds. It's going to get more and more difficult. See around Brisbane it's blowing straight westerly, but it's more southwesterly out there. So it's going to be an awkward day for the pigeons, especially with winds of 30 to 40 kilometres an hour.
So it'll be interesting to see what the race birds do. The problem is it's a side tailwind. They're going to get pushed to the north. Further north they go, the harder it's going to be when they're going to have to turn back into that strong wind. So we just have to wait and see what's going to happen. It's going to be very tough on the birds. I think there'll probably be some early ones, but I think there's going to be a lot of late ones as well. Quite a few flyers in the Federation decided not to fly because of this forecast of such strong winds. It's midday now. The wind is really blowing at times, really strong. It is still doing over 2,000 metres a minute at the moment. I don't think they're going to do that, but I certainly think we'll get one within the next hour. And I think the best velocities are going to be north of us. So there's flyers 30, 40 k's north of us, so you'd expect them to have much faster velocities than those flyers down this end of town. That first pigeon seemed to come in from the northeast, came in low and fast. She's doing 1754 in at 1249. That's pretty good velocity, I think. I mean, I'm expecting a lot better velocities up north of here, but given the way the winds are blowing a southwesterly in it, I think she's done pretty well, and she's obviously turned and come back into the wind to come from that direction. Well, I'm very pleased to have one. That's the main thing. Now I'd like to get a few more, or a lot more actually. That first bird is off my long distance pigeons. The main reason I sent them to this particular race is because it lines up with Quilpie in 2 weeks' time, which is 850 k's. It's 2 o'clock, still blowing a gale. There's 8 pigeons home. Well, the sun's gone down. It's just about 6 o'clock. There's 23 out of 28 pigeons home. I'm not terribly disappointed with that, given the conditions. So the last pigeon came home at 19 minutes past 4. So hopefully we'll get some more tomorrow. It won't turn out to be such a bad race as far as returns are concerned. Sunday morning, out for a bath. Beautiful morning this morning. Forecast of light winds. Would have been a much better day to race today. However, we can't complain because a mate of mine up the road who I train with, he won the Fed. I run second. And another friend who trains with us, he ran third. So those pigeons held their line and came through the middle. That's not surprising that they were able to hold their line, but the fact that they had higher velocities than the northern flyers was very surprising. Pleasing, but very surprising. Just goes to show you cannot underestimate what pigeons can and cannot do.
Another 4 pigeons came home on the Sunday, which was very pleasing. I just ended up losing that 1 pigeon. So the returns were good and the result was very good. Whether that had anything to do with the worming I did last weekend is hard to say. I did notice that on the Tuesday the pigeons' appetite went through the roof, which was the day after I'd finished worming them. I think that is a positive. The young cock I clocked is a long distance pigeon. The sire is Alice Springs' 1300 kilometre bloodline, and the hen was placed 4th from 1,000 kilometres, 4th fed from 1,000 kilometres. So long distance pigeon with a bit of speed. It's a good combination.
I'm feeding these pigeons all they can eat, and they can choose as many different grains as they like. I'm feeding them until they all stop eating. You can see this evening when I've fed them, this Monday night, So half the cocks are over the hen side and half the hens are over the cock side now because they've learnt to do that. So I've finished feeding them, so I've got to separate them now. It's not all that difficult because they know they should be over their own side. So come on boys, over your own side. Come on, over you go. Over your own side, quick, hurry up. You can see that they pretty much self-separate now. Come to feed them tonight and they're just as hungry once again. So their appetite has definitely improved. You can see the moment I take that flag down, the pigeons come down and they all go in. They're certainly not doing that because they're hungry. They're just doing that because they want to be back in the loft. Most of the hens are going over the cock side and most of the cocks are going over the hen side now, which is good because that means they're motivating themselves to come home. Saturday morning, 6th of September. Totally different day to last week. We're flying that same race point. Morven, 613 k's to me. Last week we had those west-southwest tailwinds. Birds were home in just under 6 hours. This week the forecast is for very strong headwinds. So they're looking at, well, maybe as long as 10 hours on the wing. I've sent 28 birds in the main race and another 5 in the 5-bird young bird futurity. So this week we're racing from Morven again over here. We've got total opposite winds to what we had last weekend. You can see they're going to have quite strong northeasterlies flying into a side headwind. The wind gets a little bit lighter as they come down here. They're probably going to get pushed more to the south. As they get near the ranges here, these strong winds blowing along here, that's the Great Dividing Range. So they're going to be very low coming over there. And they're going to finish into a southeasterly headwind to reach Brisbane. So you're looking at a pretty long day on the wing. It's 9 hours now since release. These poor little buggers are doing it really, really tough. They've had 20 to 30 k's of headwinds all the way home. Probably had a little bit of respite when they first went up early in the morning. The winds were a bit calmer. The velocity's down to about 1100 now. It's 9.5 hours now. The velocity's down below 1100, so it's in the thousands. We're still getting a few wind gusts, but we're getting a little bit of calmness in between the wind gusts. They did predict that the wind would ease off in the evening. So they're still going to do it very tough because it's been blowing so strong all day. I've seen that first pigeon coming out of the west-southwest, down fairly low, fighting against that wind. It's hard to describe the feeling you get when you see a pigeon doing that. Sort of a feeling of excitement, exhilaration, also relief. You're never quite sure if one's going to come when conditions are as tough as that at that sort of distance. The good thing was she just circled around that once and went straight in and timed herself in. She looked $1 million. Go on, quick, quick. That's the 5-birder. It's 6:10 now. You can clearly see in Brisbane we have no twilight. A little bit of last light after the sun goes down, but that's it. So there's 9 pigeons home out of 28 in the main race. 2 of those are breeder plate pigeons, which is a money race. And there are 2 pigeons home in the 5-birder. So I'm quite happy with that. Considering what the winds were like all day, I think those pigeons have done very well. So you can see there we've got 2 out of 5 in the 5-birder and 9 out of 28 in the main race. Well, the sun's gone down on another weekend's racing. Had a good result this weekend. I won the Fed in the main release, velocity of 1,038. I think I ran about 6th in the 5-birder. It's the final return Sunday afternoon. 3 out of 5 in the 5-birder, 20 out of 28. So 8 birds missing there and 2 in the other, but considering the weekend, the weather and the time on the wing, not too bad an effort.
This is the Fed winning hen, bred by a friend of mine. She was also entered into the breeder's plate. Picked up a nice little sum of $4,000 or so in that race as well. So all in all, a very, very good weekend.
Okay, it's Saturday morning, the 13th of September. Flying Quilpie today, 890 k's, so 550 miles in the old money, so we're into the true long distance racing now. It's going to be a headwind race. So they've gone up this morning at 6:30. Sun down here is around the 5:30, 25 to 6 mark. We don't get any twilight here in Brisbane. So they're going to have about 11.5 hours to get home. I reckon it's at least a 13.5 hour fly. So they'll be somewhere the other side of the range, I reckon, when the sun goes down. We often get night birds here, birds that continue through the night. There's never a lot of them, just a couple come through. So whether they're prepared to cross the range and keep coming home in the dark, we'll have to wait and see.
So today we're racing from Quilpie. About 890 k's across here to me at Brisbane. You can see when they've gone up to start with, they're getting quite a bit of strong headwinds. Till we get, well, probably close to halfway home, and the winds get much lighter. They're still going to be headwinds. Come through here, get back down to here, and you can see they're picking up some more headwinds as they get close to the ranges along here. So it's a question how they're going to go, how they're going to handle that. You'd think that they would be able to get somewhere here by sundown. So it's just a question whether they'll do that last 150, 200 kilometres to home, which will probably be in dark.
So I'm thinking they're not going to make it in the hours of daylight. It's just a question of whether they're prepared to come over that range, because they're probably going to finish maybe 150, 200 k's from home when the sun goes down. So it's just a question whether they're prepared to keep coming over that range at sundown here in Brisbane. So we've probably got another 20 or 30 minutes of last light before it's dark. That's the west straight over there where you can see the sun setting. It's a beautiful clear morning. One of the best parts of the day. So I've readjusted the release time. Velocity is now showing us 1175. So I've got them down now that they released at 16:53 yesterday rather than 6:30 in the morning. So that's adjusted the clock for the hours of darkness. Didn't keep coming through the night, and they've probably got another couple of hours to fly this morning. We wait in hope. 6:30 now. Still no pigeons home. A cloud is starting to roll in from the east, so we can't see the sun as yet. So it's down to 1,087 at the moment. Just turn this light off. Simple as that. And we'll go back to waiting. So it's gone past 8 o'clock now. Still no pigeons. Velocity's well down below 1,000 now. Our first bird just got home. Came straight out of the north. Let's have a look what it is. Yeah, 348, a little dark checker hen. She's a 3-year-old hen, so she's got some experience. She's already flown Broken Hill, 1,200 kilometres, Townsville, 1,100 kilometres. So first bird today, I don't know how she's going. Velocity's very slow, 947. It's always nice to have one in the clock. Come on, girl. Looks all right, haven't done the distance. Go and have a first drink. A well-earned drink. It's quite good considering the amount of time she spent on the wing. So that's the second bird home. 10:05, long way after the others. It's a cockbird, yearling cockbird. 2 out of 28. Very disappointing. The cockbird that came home. All he wants to do is eat corn. Starting to choose a few different grains now. Interesting to see what they eat after a long flight like that. Started off, he only ate maize, now he's picking out the sorghum on the looks. Like he's eating, he had all the maize to start with. Now he's eating sorghum. Now maize again. So he ate maize, sorghum, and now more maize. Ended up running 9th in the Federation. Quite a few people didn't clock pigeons in, but it's not the result that disappoints me. The result's quite all right actually, but the number of pigeons being lost was just, well, horrible. The 24, I kept saying out of 28, but I actually sent 25. So I got 4 home, no more. Number of people didn't clock in. Apparently it was confirmed that there were storms over the other side of the range. The radars, or not the radar, but the weather maps never showed any front coming across. The front is always bad between the home loft and the pigeons, but I didn't see anything like that. But for some reason, some storms built up over there near the ranges. So whether that had a major impact on it, you'd have to think it contributed in some way. But they just didn't come through. 25 birds sent, 4 birds home. Whether we get a couple home during the week, I don't know, but very, very disappointing race. That's all I can say about that race. Another brave sod came home this morning. 6 home now. And another one has been reported about 30 k's from here with an injured wing. So that one's being collected as well. And maybe we'll keep getting a few more. Tuesday morning and another one's come home. There's 2 home this morning. It's not bad, 4th day. You don't usually get too many pigeons coming on the 4th day from these long ones. Very tired. He's eating. He's eating wheat. Wheat and safflower. It's Saturday the 20th of September. Flying Charleville today 699 k's to me, so you might as well say 700 k's, so 400 odd miles. Got a difficult situation. There's a couple of weather fronts out there. They decided to hold the pigeons for a bit and release them at 8:35 for one lot. And we got what we call our national on. They went up at 9:05. So I've got 25 away at the main race and 5 in the 5-bird national. So now we've got to see if these pigeons can get here before dark. It's going to be a long fly. The one thing in their favour is that there is tailwinds blowing after those troughs move through. There's tailwinds coming in behind them. So this is the wind this afternoon. So, I mean, it's 2 o'clock now. So they've got to be past Roma somewhere. That rain looks like it's pretty well cleared off the coast. So they're picking up this tailwind all the way down here to Brisbane. As usual, the wind gets much stronger when it reaches the ranges, either headwinds or tailwinds. This time it's a tailwind into Brisbane. So you'd be thinking they might be doing 1600 today now. That'd put them about somewhere between a 7 and an 8 hour fly. That rain band is pretty much cleared off the coast, much quicker than what they forecast. They were forecasting showers and potential storms right up until late afternoon. It looks like it's pretty much gone. I just checked the wind over the ranges. It's blowing 20 to 30 k's of westerly, so it's a tailwind. So they might do up around the 1600 with that sort of wind. So it's 4:15 now. I'm still working on 8 hours as being probably the best they can do. I'm thinking maybe 80 kilometres an hour for the first 300 k's and then maybe 100 kilometres an hour for the last 400 k's. It might be being a bit generous, but down to 15-20. So probably from 4:30, 8 hours, 4:35. It's probably the best they're going to do, I think. It's getting closer. Okay, so those 2 pigeons just come out of nowhere. Just banging, they were there. Mind you, the second pigeon timed in before the first. So I'll quickly have a look what they're doing. Yeah, 1476, or 1477 and 1476. So yeah, just under 8 hours. So I was pretty close, I guess. Let's have a look and we see what those 2 pigeons were. Holy hell. That is amazing. You know why I'm saying that's amazing? That hen there is a national pigeon. That don't make any sense. 6 now, so it's quite dark. It's been an absolute privilege this afternoon sitting there watching those pigeons pour in, particularly late in the afternoon. They just come in so good. After the disappointment of last week, so nice to see pigeons coming home like that. So I got 5 out of 5 in the national, 18 out of 25 in the main race. Sunday morning now. Returns yesterday and again this morning. Unbelievably good. So pleasing after last week's bad returns to see the pigeons coming home like they did yesterday afternoon, darting and diving everywhere. So we got 5 out of 5. Well, we had them yesterday in the national, and now got 23 out of 25 in the main race. So just 2 pigeons missing. Very, very pleasing, like I said. Well, that's another race come to an end. Another weekend gone. A little bit dodgy there to start with. That rain out there was looking bad, but it all cleared off the coast much quicker than forecast. They had those bit of a tailwind coming in behind them, which helped them. And helped them it did. They poured in. Very, very enjoyable watching them come in. And of course, a good result. I won the national. Had 3 birds in the top 10 in that one and run 4th in the other fed, and had 2 birds in the top 10. So a very, very good result. The pigeons have come good at the right time. There's only 1 weekend of racing left. Next weekend is going to be a rest week. After that, we're going to fly out 2 long races, which is Windora, about 1,100 kilometres, and Quilpie again. So this is Tuesday after last weekend's Charleville race. I've been flying for 30 minutes now. Fortnight's time, they're going to have to go to the 1,000 and the 900 kilometre races. It's going to be tough. Now, some people will tell you that you can't put a flag up and flag your pigeons and then expect them to trap. Well, I can only say that I do that all the time, and I do expect them to trap, and they do trap. Now, I'm feeding these pigeons all they can eat, and I'll go through that later on. Morning and night, and they're exercising for that 30 minutes like I've shown before. At the end of that time, when I take that flag down, they come down and they all go in. So they're slowly getting through that corn. I'm feeding them this way morning and night, so they're getting as much as they can possibly want to eat of whatever grains they want to eat. Not worrying about what the mix is, I'm just worrying about what they want to eat. So I filled those trays back up with more mix. Now I'll leave them go for 15-20 minutes and see what they want to eat. Their appetite's still good. They're still doing that 30 minutes morning and night. I'm leaving them together for about 10 minutes. They don't have access to the nest box sections. That only happens on race day. But they're self-mixing themselves. Like I said before, cocks are coming over the hen side and hens over the cock side, so I give them 10 minutes together, then I separate them, and I feed them. I find if I leave them together, they don't eat properly, so I have to separate them before I feed. I'd hasten to add that I'm not a true long distance flyer. I've taken quite a few prizes at the distance races, but I'm not really a long distance flyer. I've always concentrated on the day races. In my opinion, there are only 2 types of pigeons. There's on the day pigeons and second day pigeons. And I've always developed a team of good on-the-day pigeons. I think there's nothing more exciting than all day's gone by, getting late in the afternoon, and that pigeon comes winging in. It's just exhilarating. I think you need a different type of pigeon for the next day races. These sort of pigeons are mine. Not really suited to getting up and coming for a couple of 100 kilometres the next day. But now that I'm getting near the end of my racing career, I'm looking more towards competing in some of these long distance racing, or being more competitive at the long distance racing. So this is what I'm looking for. Pigeons have finished eating, starting to scatter the grain all over the place. They've left the corn, they've left the peas, they've left some safflower. So that's what I want. Well, it's Wednesday afternoon. We're going to basket next Tuesday, so about a week out. People have asked if I'd show some of the things I do. So I'm sticking to my routine. So Wednesday evening I always give them this mix, so I'll go through it again. I won't actually go through the total mixing thing because I've showed that before, but basically I'm moistening the oil first of all with flaxseed oil. Then I'm adding the molasses to this mix. I couldn't tell you exactly what the mix is because I'm not worried what it is, because I'm feeding them until they stop eating all the grain, so it doesn't really matter to me what the mix is. The powders I'm adding is Equilibrium, which is a mineral mix. I'm using an avian vitalizer, and I'm using some brewer's yeast. That's what I'm adding to this mix, and then I'll feed it to the pigeons this evening at about 6 o'clock. That's when I feed them every evening. So I'll mix all that together and I'll have it ready. That grain has also been heated, like I've been showing before. I heat it up to make sure it's it's as clean as I can get it. I also like to mix it while it's nice and warm too, because the oil and the molasses mix much better with it when it's warm grain. So that's what I do on Wednesday evening. It's Saturday morning now, the 27th of October. Pigeons are gone on their last training flight out to 85 Ks. We stopped going to the 105K. Surprisingly, I've hit the front in the Federation Open Championship. I wasn't expecting that. I knew I was going to miss some races this year, and I never had that on my radar at all, but I'm now leading the comp, I don't know, 7 or 8 points or something. There's 40 points left in these last 2 races. So everyone's in with a chance, or all those up near the top are in with a chance. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Sunday morning, last bath before basketing on Tuesday. The weather's looking pretty good for the weekend, or next weekend, which is a bit surprising. There's the first carpet snake of the year. Here it is, not even October. Shows you how the weather's warming up. See him going in there, I hope you can see him. Have to try and get him out of there. Well, it's Tuesday. We're basketing the pigeons up tonight. So just let them out for their last fly. I'll have to separate them and feed them. Looking pretty good. The weather's turned very warm at the moment, 30 degrees. Getting up around 30 degrees, supposed to cool down a bit by the weekend. There's a southerly change coming up, and south winds always cool things down. It was predicted to be around the 10 to 15 Ks of southerly winds, so a side headwind, which wouldn't have been too bad, but they've changed that forecast now to 20 to 30 Ks of southeasterly, so right on their nose. So from 1100 Ks with a strong headwind, it's going to be a very, very hard race. They go up tomorrow. The babies are in the loft now. Some more babies back there. So that's the first round over already. And we haven't even finished racing, so it never really stops, does it? Well, it's Friday morning, the 3rd of October. We're flying Windora and Quilpie this weekend. The Windora birds, 1,074 Ks to me, so about 670 miles. They went up at 6:30 this morning. The wind on Friday morning. So this is Windora where we're racing from here. You can see the winds are direct headwinds. The greener areas are obviously stronger winds. A little bit lighter and a bit of changing direction when we get near home, which of course is 1,074 kilometres away. If I click down here, I think I can go further ahead. So you can see at 9 AM the winds are increasing dramatically. So all the way to Charleville, so that's probably about 300 Ks, and it's still strong. And it's changing when we get back down towards here, and it's light back here where we are in Brisbane. So I reckon they got about 12 hours of flying time, so I reckon they might do 700 Ks, somewhere around that. That means they've still got the best part of 400 k's to go again tomorrow. So yeah, if I could get one around midday, I think I'd be pretty happy. Saturday morning now. No pigeons home during the night, which was what I thought would happen, or rather not happen. Didn't expect to get any during the night. Just going to change this release time now to take into consideration the hours of darkness. So let's change the velocity for the hours of darkness, or the flying time for the hours of darkness. So we got 1393 meters a minute this morning. Saturday morning, 4th of October, 7 a.m. Still no Windora pigeons, not expecting them for a while yet. The quilpie birds have been released at 6:30 this morning. The weather conditions look like they're going to be very similar to yesterday. Going to be southerly winds, southeasterly winds, looks like around 30 degrees. The hottest it'll be in various places. So they're going to do it tough as well. So if they did 700 k's yesterday, they'd have 400 to do today, so that's another 6-hour fly. So yeah, it's been sort of 4 hours since sunrise. So any time from now on, we could possibly get one. Although, obviously, 1,074 k's is a hell of a long way, and there are a lot of hazards along the way, a lot of predators. So they need a bit of luck as well. Yeah, velocity's down to 975. So she's a very hard race. We thought it'd be a hard one, and it is. Just got to wait. It's midday now. Still no birds home from Windora. The velocity's way down in the low 900s now, so it's getting very, very desperate. What's that old saying? You start off with great expectation and high hopes, and gradually expectations fade and only hope remains. All we can do is go on waiting. So it's down to 873. So that's starting to get down in the smash area. Not much hope left now, but I'll keep looking. 2 p.m. now, still nothing home. Getting a little bit depressing now. Well, it's 5:30. Sun's going down. And I never got a pigeon from Windora. There are pigeons home. I heard on the pigeon grapevine there's a few pigeons in, I think pretty late in the afternoon. I'm not sure though what time they got in, but I got told there were pigeons in. So there goes the old sun down, and no pigeons home. It's 5:30 this morning. It's Sunday morning. So the third day. I never got a pigeon yesterday, not a single bird. Pigeons were in. I heard one fellow got one at 2 o'clock. So I missed out badly there. This morning, pigeons finally come home. Just come home now, 5:30. The velocity is irrelevant really. It's just a question of getting a pigeon. As you can see, there's the first pigeon home. 5:30 this morning. So disappointing result, but I guess you ask questions. Were the pigeons good enough? Was I good enough? Did I do everything right? Very, very difficult to say. See if I can see what she looks like. So there, obviously. Looking for something to eat. I'll go and get her something now. Welcome home, girl. You're very late, but we've made it. It's a long way, isn't it? Long, long way. Looking pretty tired. So now the wait starts for the quilpie birds. Hopefully it's not going to be as long as the Windora birds. It gets a bit draining. Sitting out there all day yesterday. Depressing as well, but you've just got to put up with it, I guess. It's pigeon racing. I'll just change this velocity for second day velocities. The velocity is 11:17 at the moment for second day. Yeah, let's start waiting again. Well, that's good news. Second pigeon, excuse me, second pigeon home, and it's a quilpie pigeon. So that's good. Don't have to keep waiting all day. Let's see what velocity it's doing. 9:59 in at 8 o'clock. Excellent. It's a cockbird too. And here he is, the quilpie pigeon. I'm going to get you something to eat. Well done, buddy. Thank goodness I didn't have to wait all day to get one of them. Just the one pigeon home from the 1100k race and 4 pigeons home from the 900. So we'll go and compare and see how we went with the rest of the fanciers. The season ended with those last 2 races. I finished 16th from the 1074 kilometre Windora race. Those leaders, they were home around midday on the Saturday, pretty much as I expected. 15 Lofts clocked birds in on that second day, and I got the first bird home on the third day, which gave me the 16th place out of 44 Lofts. Whilst that wasn't great, I was happy to have a bird home. Like I said, I'm not really a long distance flyer, but I am looking to improve. In the 900 kilometre quilpie race, which was released on the Saturday, there was just that one outstanding pigeon that came in on the night. My pigeon was the first bird home the following morning, which gave me second place in the Fed, so it really was a nice way to finish the season. The 2025 season started a bit slowly. Even though my preparation was good, I was happy with the work I put in for them, but the results were not what I wanted. However, the returns were good, which told me there was nothing really wrong with the pigeons. Things really started to click for me once we got out to those middle distance races. They're the races that I prefer, actually. The first 600 kilometre race was a fast one, and I ran second in that race. It was about 6 hours on the wing, which showed me they were starting to come good. I followed that race up with a good win in the next one, which was a tough one. An all-day fly, I clocked that good blue hen, doing 10:38 metres per minute after 10 hours on the wing, which was just the type of race I like to do well in. She also won the Breeders' Plate, which brought in a nice bit of cash. The 700 kilometre national from Charleville was another good race for me, with another good win, when I clocked that blue checker tick-eye hen, 12 minutes in front of the rest of the Fed. There were 2 races on that day, and I finished 4th in the other release, and the pigeons just kept coming right up until dark, which was a really pleasing afternoon. Overall, I ended up winning the Open Fed Championship against 102 Lofts, which was surprising considering I missed 3 races, which carried 60 points that I missed out on. But I'll certainly take the win. I also finished second in the Long Distance Championship, and as I've said before, I'm not really a long distance flyer, so that was pleasing as well. All in all, it's been another good year. Well, the next year's youngsters are over in the race loft. Those trainer crates are on the front again, and it's time to start the whole process all over again. Thanks for watching. Well, that's the 2025 race season finished. I hope you enjoyed the video, and best wishes for 2026.